The girl's scream shattered the evening calm with such force that sparrows exploded from nearby power lines. The small figure burst from the tree line at the truck stop's edge, barefoot on hot asphalt, her pink jacket torn at the sleeve and streaked with mud and blood. Her breath came in ragged sobs, eyes wild with terror that belonged on someone 3 times her age. "Help!" she gasped, then louder, frantic. "Help me, please! He's coming!" The golden hour had just begun. Only 12 people remained at the Route 66 truck stop off Highway 40. Ray, the attendant, checking inventory behind smudged plexiglass. 2 long-haul truckers comparing routes over crumpled maps, and 7 bikers clustered around their motorcycles, in the far corner, their leather vests bearing the Road Warriors MC patch. Everything stopped. The girl, no more than 9 years old, blonde hair matted with sweat and leaves, 1 shoe missing, stumbled forward with the desperate, uneven gait of prey that had been running for miles. Her small chest heaved. Tears carved clean tracks through the dirt on her face. Behind her, perhaps 200 yards back where gravel met woodland, a dark silhouette emerged from the shadows between the trees, moving, steady, unhurried. The figure of a man who knew his target had nowhere left to run. The girl's eyes swept across the truck stop, past Ray frozen behind his counter, past the truckers half risen from their bench, landing finally on the bikers. 7 men in leather and denim, tattooed arms crossed, bearded faces weathered by sun and road. Society's outlaws, her last hope. She made her choice. Sprinting directly toward them, legs buckling but terror keeping her upright, she collapsed against the lead motorcycle, a gleaming black Harley, and grabbed the handlebars like a lifeline. Her small fingers, scraped raw and bleeding, clutched at chrome. "Please don't let him take me," she whispered, voice breaking. "Please. He killed Miss Rebecca, and I saw him do it, and he's been chasing me since this morning, and he said nobody would believe me, but I'm not lying. I swear, I'm not lying." The largest biker, a mountain of a man with a gray beard that reached mid-chest, Ironside stitched across his vest, set down the rag he'd been using to polish his bike. His movements were slow, deliberate. 52 years of hard living had taught him to read danger from a mile away. This was danger. "Easy, kid." His voice came out low, steady, the kind of calm that makes panicked people breathe. "You're safe now. What's your name?" "Dahlia," she gasped. "Dahlia Stewart. And that man—" She pointed with a shaking hand toward the approaching figure, now crossing from tree line to parking lot. "His name is Vincent Marsh, and he's going to kill me, just like he killed 8 other people, and I know where he keeps their things, and he knows I know." The man stepped fully into the fading sunlight. Delivery uniform. Plain face. Wedding ring catching the golden hour glow, the kind of forgettable appearance that made him invisible in crowds. Except for his eyes, cold, empty, predator's eyes. Ironside stood slowly, his chair scraping against concrete. Around him, 6 brothers rose in synchronized silence. Reaper, built like a boxer with fists like sledgehammers. Whiskey, lean and alert with the watchful eyes of his former cop days. Ghost, youngest of the crew, already pulling out his phone. Tank, bulldog, and smoke, backup, muscle, family, 7 men, 7 bikes. 1 terrified child between them and whatever was coming. The man stopped 20 feet away. His smile was practiced, apologetic, the mask of respectability worn smooth from years of use. "Thank God," he said, relief coating his words like honey. "There she is. Dahlia, sweetheart. You had me so worried." His eyes swept the bikers once, calculating, measuring, dismissing. "I'm so sorry for the disturbance," he continued, directing his words toward Ray, still frozen behind the counter. My daughter has some episodes. Gets confused, runs off when she's overwhelmed. Been looking for her all afternoon. Dahlia's entire body went rigid. No. It's okay, honey, the man, Marsh, said patiently. Nobody's angry. Let's just get you home so you can take your medication. Ironside didn't move, but his presence expanded, filling the space between child and predator. That right? His voice carried no inflection. Pure statement. Marsh turned to him fully now, extending a hand. Richard Vincent, appreciate you keeping an eye on her. I'm a counselor over at Lincoln Elementary. Dahlia's been under my care for her behavioral issues. Poor thing sometimes makes up stories. Nobody shook his hand. The air changed. Subtle. Undeniable. Reaper shifted his weight, blocking the most direct path to the girl. Ghost's fingers moved across his phone screen. Whiskey's eyes narrowed, reading micro-expressions the way he'd been trained to do in another life. Dahlia's voice came out barely above a whisper, but in the thick silence it carried like a gunshot. He's lying. His name isn't Richard Vincent, it's Vincent Marsh. And he's not my counselor. He's not anybody's counselor. She looked up at Ironside, and her next words tumbled out fast, desperate, specific. I was at Miss Rebecca's house this morning. She was babysitting me because my mom had to work a double shift at the hospital. I saw him through the window. He rang the doorbell, and when she opened it, he pushed inside and he strangled her with his hands. I hid in the closet, but he saw me through the crack, and I ran out the back door, and he's been chasing me ever since. And I ran and ran and ran, and her voice cracked completely. He took her necklace, the little silver one with the bird. He keeps things from all of them. 8 people. 8. I know because I saw his car once, and there was stuff in the back, and one of them was Sarah Martinez's backpack, and everyone said Sarah moved away, but she didn't. She disappeared, and... That's enough, Dahlia. Marcia's voice went flat. The warmth evaporated like steam, leaving something colder underneath. His smile stayed in place, but his eyes went dead. Gentlemen, I understand your concern, but this is a family matter. The child is delusional. We've been working with psychiatrists. What's her birthday? Whiskey's voice cut through the lies like a blade. Marsh didn't miss a beat. June 14th, 2015. My birthday is September 3rd, 2016, Dahlia said immediately. I'm 9 years old. My mom's name is Claire Stewart. She's a nurse at County General. She works night shifts Tuesday through Saturday. Today is Thursday, so she's at work right now, and he knows that. He knew nobody would be home. That's why he picked today. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. Ironside's hand moved to his belt. Not to a weapon, just a position of readiness. His brothers arranged themselves without words, years of riding together creating a silent language. A wall of leather and muscle between a terrified child and the monster wearing a delivery man's face. Marsh's jaw tightened. His hand shifted toward his pocket. Reaper moved faster, intercepting. Hands where we can see 'em, friend. This is harassment, Marsh said, voice tight. I could have you all arrested for interfering. Funny thing, Whiskey drawled, pulling out his phone. You said you're a counselor at Lincoln Elementary. Mind if I make a quick call? Verify that? For just a second, barely a heartbeat, Marsh's mask slipped. What showed underneath was cold calculation, violent intent. Then it snapped back. I don't appreciate what you're insinuating. Ironside looked down at Dahlia, still clutching his motorcycle, then back at the man who called himself Richard Vincent. His voice dropped to a growl that carried across the asphalt, promising violence and protection in equal measure. Brother! You just made the worst mistake of your life! The girl's scream shattered the evening calm with such force that sparrows exploded from nearby power lines. The small figure burst from the tree line at the truck stop's edge, barefoot on hot asphalt, her pink jacket torn at the sleeve and streaked with mud and blood. Her breath came in ragged sobs, eyes wild with terror that belonged on someone 3 times her age. "Help!" she gasped, then louder, frantic. "Help me, please! He's coming!" The golden hour had just begun. Only 12 people remained at the Route 66 truck stop, off Highway 40. Ray, the attendant, checking inventory behind smudged plexiglass. 2 long-haul truckers comparing routes over crumpled maps, and 7 bikers clustered around their motorcycles in the far corner, their leather vests bearing the Road Warriors MC patch. Everything stopped. The girl, no more than 9 years old, blonde hair matted with sweat and leaves, 1 shoe missing, stumbled forward with the desperate, uneven gait of prey that had been running for miles. Behind her, perhaps 200 yards back, where gravel met woodland, a dark silhouette emerged from the shadows between the trees. Moving. Steady, unhurried, she sprinted directly toward the bikers, legs buckling, but terror keeping her upright. She collapsed against the lead motorcycle and grabbed the handlebars like a lifeline. Her small fingers, scraped raw and bleeding, clutched at chrome. "Please don't let him take me," she whispered, voice breaking. "He killed Miss Rebecca and I saw him do it." The largest biker, a mountain of a man with a gray beard, iron side stitched across his vest, set down the rag he'd been using to polish his bike. His movements were slow, deliberate. "Easy, kid," his voice came out low, steady. "You're safe now. What's your name?" "Dahlia Stewart. That man," she pointed with a shaking hand. "His name is Vincent Marsh, and he's going to kill me just like he killed 8 other people." The man stepped into the fading sunlight. Delivery uniform, plain face, wedding ring catching the golden hour glow, forgettable appearance, except for his eyes, cold, empty, predator's eyes. Ironside stood slowly. Around him, 6 brothers rose in synchronized silence. Reaper, built like a boxer, with fists like sledgehammers. Whiskey, lean and alert with watchful cop eyes. Ghost, youngest of the crew, already pulling out his phone. Tank, Bulldog, and Smoke. Backup, muscle, family. The man stopped 20 feet away. His smile was practiced, apologetic. "Thank God," he said, relief coating his words. "There she is. Dahlia, sweetheart, you had me so worried." His eyes swept the bikers once, calculating, measuring, dismissing. "I'm so sorry for the disturbance. My daughter has some episodes, gets confused, runs off when she's overwhelmed." Dahlia's entire body went rigid. "No. It's okay, honey," Marsh said patiently. "Let's just get you home so you can take your medication." Ironside didn't move, but his presence expanded, filling the space between child and predator. "That right?" Marsh extended a hand. "Richard Vincent, appreciate you keeping an eye on her. I'm a counselor over at Lincoln Elementary." Nobody shook his hand. "He's lying," Dahlia said. "His name is Vincent Marsh. I was at Miss Rebecca's house this morning. He strangled her with his bare hands. I watched through the window. He took her necklace, the one with the little bird. He keeps things from all of them. 8 people. That's enough, Dahlia." Marsh's voice went flat. The warmth evaporated. "This is a family matter. The child is delusional. What's her birthday?" Whiskey's voice cut through. Marsh didn't miss a beat. "June 14th, 2015. My birthday is September 3rd, Dahlia said immediately. "My mom's name is Claire Stewart. She's a nurse at County General." The temperature dropped 10 degrees. Marsh's hand shifted toward his pocket. Reaper moved faster, intercepting. "Hands where we can see 'em, friend." "This is harassment," Marsh said, voice tight. "I could have you all arrested." Whiskey pulled out his phone. Mind if I make a quick call? Verify you're who you say? For just a second, Marsh's mask slipped. What showed underneath was cold calculation, violent intent. 7 bikers arranged themselves without words, a wall of leather and muscle between a terrified child and the monster wearing a delivery man's face. Ironside looked down at Dahlia, then back at Marsh. His voice dropped to a growl. Then let 'em come. Girl stays with us till we know she's safe. Marsh smiled then, cold, empty. You have no idea what you've just done. He turned and walked deliberately toward his vehicle, phone already at his ear. Whiskey stepped away from the group, phone pressed tight to his ear. 30 seconds passed, then his face drained of all color. He turned back slowly, eyes locked on Dahlia, then on Marsh's retreating figure. Jesus Christ, he breathed. It's real, all of it. Ironside's jaw tightened. Talk to me. Vincent Marsh, wanted for questioning in 8 disappearances across 3 states, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, all along delivery routes, 3-year pattern. Whiskey's voice dropped. Rebecca Chen was reported murdered this morning. Strangled. Timeline matches exactly what the kid said. Reaper's fists clenched. 8 victims? 8 missing. All women and girls who saw something they shouldn't have. Whiskey looked at Dahlia, understanding dawning in his eyes. My contact says Marsh has ties to the Castellano crime family. They think he's a contract killer, a cleaner, takes care of witnesses. Ghost was already recording, phone camera focused on Dahlia. Tell us everything you remember, sweetheart. Every detail. Dahlia's voice shook, but held steady. It was this morning. 7:30. Miss Rebecca was making pancakes. The doorbell rang. She looked through the peephole and seemed confused, but she opened it. He pushed inside fast. They argued. She tried to run, but he grabbed her from behind and... Her breath hitched. He used his hands around her neck. She stopped moving and he took her necklace. The silver one with the little bird charm. Where does he keep his trophies? Whiskey asked gently. His house, 1847 Oakwood Drive. There's a room in the basement with a padlock. I saw inside once when I was hiding in his truck. Photos on the wall, jewelry in boxes, personal things. She looked up at them, eyes pleading. There was a backpack, pink with unicorns. Sarah Martinez had one just like it. Everyone said Sarah moved away last year, but she didn't. She didn't. Ghost's face went grim as he documented every word. The rumble of engines cut through the evening air. 4 black SUVs pulled into the truck stop, tires crunching gravel. 8 men emerged, all wearing dark clothing. All armed. We got company, Tank muttered. Whiskey's phone buzzed. He read the message and swore. My contact says local PD might be compromised. Some officers on Castellano payroll. Ghost looked at Ironside. Man, we run with her. We're fugitives. They'll violate our parole. Send us back inside. And if we stay, Reaper growled, hand her over to dirty cops and a killer? Ironside's eyes never left the approaching men. His voice came out quiet, final. Then they'll have to catch us first. I ain't handing this kid to monsters. He turned to his brothers. Mount up. We ride. Now. The bikers moved with practiced efficiency. Ghost secured his phone. Reaper grabbed a spare helmet. Whiskey kick-started his Harley. Ironside crouched down to Dahlia's level. Ever been on a motorcycle? She shook her head, tears streaming. About to learn. Stay close to me, arms around my waist. Don't let go, no matter what. He lifted her onto the bike behind him, settled the helmet over her blonde hair. You're really not going to give me back? Her voice was muffled, disbelieving. Over my dead body, little darlin'. Hold on tight. A megaphone crackled to life. Marsh's voice echoed across the parking lot. Last chance. Give us the girl. Walk away. Nobody gets hurt. 7 engines roared in response. Ironside raised his middle finger high, twisted the throttle, and the world exploded into motion. The motorcycles screamed out of the truck stop in formation, Dahlia's small arms locked around Ironside's waist. Behind them, SUV engines roared to life. Tires shrieked. The chase began. Highway 40 stretched ahead into the dying light, and 7 outlaws carried a terrified child toward an uncertain salvation. 4 vehicles of armed men in relentless pursuit. 7 motorcycles tore through the twilight, headlights cutting tunnels through gathering darkness. Dahlia's arms locked around Ironside's waist, her face pressed against his leather vest, feeling his heartbeat steady beneath the roar of the engine. The world blurred past in streaks of orange and purple sky. Behind them, 4 SUVs closed the distance on the straight stretches of Highway 40. Ghost's voice crackled through the comms in their helmets. Exit coming up, 2 miles, back roads from there. The first gunshot sparked off pavement 10 feet from Reaper's rear tire. They're shooting! Dahlia's scream was barely audible over the wind. I've got you, kid! Ironside leaned into a hard turn, the bike tilting at an impossible angle. I won't let you fall. Reaper dropped back, positioning himself between the SUVs and the pack. When the lead vehicle accelerated to ram him, he braked hard and swerved. The SUV's momentum carried it past, and Reaper's boot connected with the driver's door, sending it careening into the guardrail in a shower of sparks. 3 SUVs remained. They hit the exit at 90 miles per hour, bikes leaning into the curve with practiced precision. The SUVs struggled to follow, tires screaming. The chase spilled onto narrow back roads where asphalt gave way to gravel, and the bikers' advantage multiplied. Then, the second shot found its mark. Tank's rear tire exploded. The bike went sideways, throwing him across 20 feet of dirt road. He tumbled, rolled, came to rest in a cloud of dust. His hand rose, thumb up, alive. We can't leave him, Reaper's voice cracked. He'd want us to protect her, Whiskey shouted back. He knows the code. The SUV screeched to a halt at Tank's crash site, buying precious seconds. 6 motorcycles roared deeper into darkness. 15 minutes later, they reached it. An abandoned meatpacking plant. 3 stories of rust and broken windows, graffiti covering every surface. Their sanctuary. Inside, the clubhouse revealed itself. Makeshift fortress. Weapons mounted on walls. Supplies stacked in corners. Brotherhood memorabilia. Photos, patches, memories, covering every surface. Dahlia climbed off the bike, and her legs gave out. She collapsed, shaking uncontrollably, finally safe enough to let terror consume her. Whiskey caught her before she hit concrete, guided her to a chair, began treating her scraped hands and bleeding feet with surprising gentleness. You did good, kid, he murmured. Real good. Ghost spread paper on the table. Can you draw his house? Everything you remember? Dahlia's hand trembled as she sketched. The layout emerged with surprising detail. Rooms, doors, the basement stairs. The trophy room is here. There's a padlock, but the key is in his truck, in a magnetic box under the driver's seat. Ghost's fingers flew across his laptop keyboard, using the address Dahlia provided. I'm in. His face went grim as files appeared on screen. 8 faces. Before and after shots. Women and girls smiling in life, empty-eyed in death. Jesus Christ, Ghost breathed. He's been doing this for 3 years. How did nobody connect these? Because he's smart, Whiskey said quietly. Different jurisdictions, different methods, spaced out timing, and somebody's protecting him. He pointed at encrypted files. These aren't random. These are hits. Professional eliminations. Rebecca Chen's file opened. Photographs of her meeting with a man in a suit. Whiskey's cop instincts fired. She witnessed a mob transaction. That's why Marsh killed her. Reaper slammed his fist on the table. We take this to the feds! Now! Won't make it, Bulldog called from the window. Look. 12 men emerged from the darkness surrounding the building. More SUVs, more weapons. Marsh's reinforcements had arrived. Ghost copied files to a thumb drive. Underground tunnels. I can get out. Reach the federal building. Then move, Ironside commanded. We'll hold them here. The bikers armed themselves. Chains, bats, the few legal firearms they possessed. Defensive positions marked on crude maps. Dahlia was moved to an inner room, Ghost's phone in her trembling hands. Ironside knelt beside her one last time. You've been so brave. Need you to stay brave a little longer. Are you going to die protecting me? Her voice was small, broken. He met her eyes, honest. Maybe, but you're worth it. Brave ain't not being scared, he added softly. Brave is being scared and doing what's right anyway. You're the bravest person here. Ghost disappeared into the tunnels. The others took their positions. Marsh's voice boomed through a megaphone outside. This is your last warning. Ironside checked his weapons, looked at his brothers, and smiled grimly. Let 'em come. The first flashbang exploded against the clubhouse wall at midnight, turning darkness into blinding white. Dahlia screamed from her hiding place as gunfire erupted. Suppressing fire meant to soften defenses before the real assault began. Ironside braced behind a steel column, Reaper and Whiskey flanking the main entrance. Bulldog and smoke covered side approaches. The building shook with impact. Here they come, Reaper bellowed. 6 men rushed the front door. The bikers had prepared well. Chains stretched ankle height, improvised traps, environmental advantages. The first 2 attackers went down hard. Hand-to-hand combat erupted in the darkness, brutal and desperate. Reaper fought like a demon possessed, his fists connecting with bone-crushing force. Whiskey moved with tactical precision despite his age, using leverage and experience. They held the line, but there were too many. A bullet punched through Whiskey's shoulder. He went down with a grunt, blood spreading across his vest. Reaper roared and dragged him back behind cover, fighting off 3 men with savage efficiency. Fall back, Ironside commanded. Inner perimeter! They retreated, step by bloody step, buying time. Somewhere below them, Ghost moved through darkness toward freedom and federal help. Above, 6 men protected 1 terrified child. Marsh's voice cut through the chaos. Enough. He stepped through the breached entrance, gun in hand, moving with predatory calm. His men fell back at his gesture. He walked alone down the corridor toward the inner rooms, toward Dahlia. Ironside emerged from the shadows, blocking his path. You want her? His voice was granite. Go through me, Marsh smiled. Gladly. They collided with brutal force. Marsh was trained, military precision, kill shot efficiency. But Ironside fought with something deeper. Every blocked punch, every desperate counter, he saw another face. Another child he'd failed to save. Vietnam. A village burning. Small bodies in the dirt. His hands covered in blood that wouldn't wash away for 40 years. Not this time. Not this child. Marsh's knife appeared, slashing. Ironside took the cut across his ribs, used the momentum to throw Marsh against the wall. Both men bleeding now, both refusing to fall. Marsh gained the advantage, driving Ironside back. He kicked open Dahlia's door. She stood frozen, clutching the phone, tears streaming down her face. Hello, Dahlia, Marsh's smile was death itself. Then she moved. The heavy chain Ironside had taught her to use as a weapon flew out, catching Marsh's ankle. He stumbled, and Ironside surged forward with a second wind born of pure will. But Marsh recovered fast. His arm locked around Dahlia's throat, knife pressed to her neck. Back off, or she dies, right now. Ironside froze, history repeating. The nightmare made real. Dahlia. His voice came steady despite the horror. Remember what I taught you. You're stronger than you think. Their eyes met. Hers filled with trust, despite the blade at her throat. She drove her elbow into Marsh's solar plexus, exactly as Ironside had shown her. His grip loosened for one heartbeat. She dropped and rolled. Ironside tackled Marsh through the doorframe, both men crashing into the corridor. Fists, elbows, raw fury. Ironside's hands found Marsh's throat just as sirens screamed outside. Red laser sights painted the walls. Stand down! FBI agents flooded through breached walls, weapons raised. Agent Torres took in the scene. Injured bikers, terrified child, one man's hands around another's throat. Please don't hurt him. Dahlia's voice cut through everything. He saved me. Ironside's eyes cleared. He released Marsh, hands rising slowly. Blood dripped from a dozen wounds, but his gaze never left Dahlia. Ghost emerged behind the federal agents, thumb drive raised. It's all here. 8 victims. Everything. These men saved this little girl's life. Marsh was dragged to his feet, cuffed, mask finally shattered. Pure hatred showed through. You're all dead. My lawyers will bury you. But his voice was already fading, meaningless. Dahlia ran to Ironside despite FBI orders to stay back. She crashed into him, and he caught her, held her, felt her heartbeat alive and strong against his chest. It's over, darlin', his voice cracked. You're safe now, really safe. Around them, agents secured the scene. EMTs treated wounded bikers. Evidence was cataloged. But in that moment, one old warrior and one small child stood together in the wreckage, both finally free of the monsters that had haunted them. Redemption felt like a 9-year-old's arms wrapped tight, refusing to let go. The raid on 1847 Oakwood Drive happened at dawn. Agent Torres led the team personally, Ghost's evidence guiding them straight to the basement. They found the trophy room exactly as Dahlia described. 8 faces staring from photographs on the walls, jewelry in careful boxes, personal items arranged like museum pieces. Evidence of 3 more attempted kidnappings. 14 members of the Castellano crime family arrested within 48 hours. By the time the sun rose on the second day, the bikers had been cleared. Agent Torres himself delivered the news at the hospital where they were being treated. Off the record, he met Ironside's eyes. You boys did what we couldn't. That kid's alive because you didn't look the other way. The media descended like locusts. Outlaw bikers saved child from serial killer screamed every headline. Cameras captured the moment Dahlia's mother arrived. Claire Stewart, still in her nurse's scrubs from a double shift, collapsing to her knees as she held her daughter. My baby, she sobbed. My baby. Later, when she found Ironside in the hospital corridor, words failed her. She simply embraced him, this scarred mountain of a man who'd risked everything for a child he'd never met. How do I thank someone for giving me back my child? Ironside's voice came rough with emotion. You don't. You just love her hard and teach her she's strong enough to face anything. In another room, Tank grinned through bandages and bruises as his brothers visited. Next time, I'm wearing better body armor, but I'd do it again in a heartbeat. The charges never came. Instead, civilian commendations. Whiskey's instincts vindicated. Reaper's fury validated, Ghost's courage recognized. And Ironside found something he'd lost 40 years ago in a burning Vietnamese village. Peace. 6 months later, the transformation was complete. Dahlia stood at a community center podium, no longer the terrified child who'd burst from the trees. She carried herself differently now, shoulders back, voice clear. Her testimony had put Marsh away for life without parole. People judge by what they see on the outside, she told the assembled crowd. These men taught me that courage looks different than we think. Heroes don't always wear capes or badges. Sometimes they wear leather and ride motorcycles. The Road Warriors. Youth Safety Initiative occupied the old clubhouse now. 200 kids annually learning self-defense, situational awareness, how to trust their instincts. Ironside taught the classes himself, finding purpose in protection. Spent 40 years carrying dead kids in my head, he told his therapist. This one lived. Finally feels like I did something right. At the ceremony, honoring the bikers, Dahlia presented them with custom patches. Honorary heroes. But afterward, she pulled Ironside aside for a private moment. I made you something. She handed him a drawing, a man on a motorcycle with wings spread wide. Title, across the top, My Guardian Angel. For the first time in decades, Ironside cried, not from pain or trauma, but release. You told me you weren't a hero, Dahlia whispered. You were wrong. You're my hero. His voice broke. You saved me too, kid. You saved me too. The final ride came on a golden afternoon. 7 motorcycles lined up on Highway 40, engines rumbling like thunder. Dahlia and her mother stood roadside, waving. Ride safe! Come back soon! Ironside glanced at her drawing, now taped to his windscreen, then at his brother's. Whiskey raised a fist. Reaper grinned. Ghost nodded. Tank, Bulldog, and Smoke revved their engines. Think we made a difference? Whiskey asked over the comms. Ironside smiled. 1 kid at a time. That's all we can do, and it's enough. They pulled onto the highway, disappearing into the sunset. The road stretched endlessly ahead, but they rode with purpose now. The code had always been about freedom. Now it meant something bigger. Protection, purpose, making sure kids like Dahlia knew somebody had their back. As the motorcycles became distant thunder, the drawing fluttered in the wind. Wings spread wide, Guardian watching over all who needed him. Vincent Marsh, life without parole for 8 murders, criminal network dismantled, 23 children protected through evidence discovered, Road Warriors Youth Safety Initiative, 200+ kids served annually. The road called. They answered. And somewhere behind them, a little girl who'd once run screaming from death now ran toward life, empowered, unafraid, forever changed by 7 unlikely heroes who'd refused to look away. If this story reminded you that heroes come from the most unexpected places, and that courage means standing up when it matters most, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We bring you stories that prove heroism transcends appearance, that the smallest voices can spark the biggest changes, and that sometimes the people society judges the hardest are the ones willing to sacrifice the most. Tell us in the comments, have you ever witnessed someone being judged unfairly based on their appearance? What would you have done in Dahlia's situation? Your story might inspire someone else to find their courage. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Because the road to justice is paved by those brave enough to take the first step, no matter how scared they are. Share this story. Someone needs to hear it today.